Hello everyone, in this video I'll show you how to beat the boss, the Hollow Cro in Lords of the Fallen 2023. So this boss is one of the most fun bosses I think in the game, and we have to attack this spirit here that is floating around the arena. Now this is most of the fight, we're actually just going to be fighting that little spirit. Just watch out for all the extra adds. Now I brought Pieta to make this a lot easier, as Pieta can heal your character if you're nearby it. It'll do an area of effect heal, which makes this fight a lot easier because there's some very damaging attacks. Now you might want to bring a frostbite cure here if you're planning on doing a lot of endurance based attacks, which is what my character mostly revolves around. Now if you look at the health bar, we already got a lot of wither damage dealt to this character, so that is kind of the strategy for this first portion of the fight. Now when it does this attack, the hurricane, I didn't realize this at the time, but you got to run into the center of it, and it makes this ring smaller and smaller as the fight goes on. So there is Pieta's area of effect heal, very useful in this fight, and I recommend bringing her if you're having a bit of a struggle with this fight, because you have to be in the umbral phase to be able to actually fight this character. So this is my first time actually getting some damage in on it. When you do a critical attack like that, it'll clear out all the mobs. So I would highly recommend, if you can pull this off, to do it, because that makes this fight a lot easier, not having to deal with all those extra enemies around, because for some reason in Lords of the Fallen, the trash mobs can do massive amounts of damage compared to a lot of other Souls-like games out there. But just be mindful where they're at. Now after you deal 1/3 of its health, it's going to do this attack, and it'll do it again at 2/3, where you just have to run around and dodge all that extra ice. I didn't really get the pattern at first, but I'll explain it here. So it'll have that little ice shard, and it'll bounce down to the wall, and it'll bounce off the wall and keep bouncing around trying to hit you. So watch out for that. It'll bounce 3 or 4 times, and just be mindful of it. If you have headphones on, you can hear where it is, and that makes this a lot easier because you can just pinpoint it a little bit easier. Now when it does a few more attacks, it's going to bring that spirit back out, and we get to wailing on it again. Now it's almost better to be in umbral. For some of the bosses it's much preferred, and especially for this one. So we want to use this umbral to our advantage, because we're able to actually deal damage to it now without using the umbral lamp. And again, when we're in umbral, everything's going to be darker, but the attacks stay the same. This whirlwind we want to roll inwards to, but avoid as much frost damage as you can, because that will add up over time, and your endurance will stay low like mine does. And that's not really the best way to go about fighting this. So eventually the girl will appear again, so you want to get hit whacking on her. And the Hollow Cro is kind of funny of a boss. Side note here, we do deal damage to the crow at the very end of the fight, but for this we mostly are just going after the spirit there. So every once in a while, I think it's around 30 seconds, 45 seconds, it'll do that ring attack, and you just need to watch out for it. So run to the center. It is quite a beefy boss, like the spirit has a lot of health. This might change in a future patch, because I know there's a lot of people talking online about some of these bosses having way too much health, but just keep going after the spirit as much as possible. Now here, for some reason, my game lagged really badly. It has been lagging quite a bit recently, I think due to the memory leak, and I haven't turned my game off for a while, so that unfortunately happened. But if that happens to you, just be careful, because it's going to start bringing in more attacks right as soon as everything. It seems like everything goes on pause, and then things like the girl spawning back in there happens a little bit sooner. So I don't know if that'll happen to you, but there is some issues, especially this is not even 1 week after launch, and it's already having some pretty rough issues. But for a majority of the fight, we're just going to run around, take out the trash mobs with your dual wielding setup, as you're going to swing the blades a little bit wider, and that allows you to just get more enemies in your hitbox range. Then we're just going to go around to whatever until the spirit pops back up. Make sure to keep on top of your healing, because that's super useful here. Now this fight gets pretty crazy in a moment, and I go down to very low health, and I'm not sure how I survived this fight, but you're going to want to stay tuned just to see some pretty crazy action going on. But it is now time for that second attack where I talked about, with the ice trailing from the Hollow Cro itself. So for this phase, again, all we're doing is just dodging this stupid little ice beam that comes around. Don't get too close though, because it will do that attack. It won't do it if you're far away, or it has a bit less accuracy. Don't get too close to this boss though. I was looking for multiple areas that I could maybe like hide from these attacks, but in this whole realm, it just seems like you have to dodge the attacks. Now, there's a few bosses like this in the game where the phases are pretty much just run around, stay alive. And I don't know how I feel about that, but that's a good time to use the frostbite cure as I'm down. I've used up my last 2 heals to get my health back, and things are getting dicey now. So the spirit's gonna come back out, and we're gonna have a crazy last phase where this is what you should be doing. I got warmed up, and here is I guess the best way to deal with it. In the final phase, these axemen, similar to the Iron Wayfarer, pop out. They are a pain in the butt to deal with, so just stay away from them and don't go outside of the hurricane, because it's going to be brought in multiple times just to the very center of this location. So be mindful that's coming often. And now we're just going to get up close to the spirit as much as we can and just dodge all these attacks. And be mindful, when this all ends, we have to attack the Hollow Cro as well. So focus on the ads as much as you can, but stay away from probably that big axe one. And then the spirit is going to pop back up here, and we're down to the last little bit of health. This is where it gets a little scary, because I have a sliver of health after I got hit with an attack and got some very lucky dodges in. And I find if you spam the dodge roll, you can kind of get away from a lot of these. It makes it a little bit easier in certain phases, but we have to stay inside the ring this time. I thought I was going down, but somehow we clutched through. I got frostbite and got the last couple hits in there with a critical to end it all off. This was a very climatic end. I could not believe this fight. But just a reminder, you do have to hit the Hollow Cro one more time. So avoid its silly attacks and launch your hatchet, your bow, your magic, whatever you got, and we'll finish this crow off together. That is a tough boss, but I got it on that second attempt there. Crazy. This was probably one of the most fun boss fights in the entire game, I think. Just so exhilarating, and to end it off with like 1 health point was crazy. Such a fun fight. I really enjoyed this one. If you found this video useful, please hit that subscribe button below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.